Vintage luxury watches versus modern smartwatches. Hello, watch enthusiasts and tech aficionados. Today, we're embarking on a fascinating journey through timepieces that have ticked their way into history and modern marvels that make us question if we really need a traditional clock anymore. We're talking about the clash of titans, vintage luxury watches versus modern smartwatches. It's the ultimate showdown of style versus technology, sophistication versus convenience, and classic elegance versus futuristic flair. So, strap in, or should I say, strap on your watch, because we're diving deep into this epic comparison. The glory of vintage luxury watches. Let's rewind the clock, shall we? Picture this. It's the 1950s, and a luxury watch was more than just a time-telling device. It was a statement, a declaration that you've arrived, that you have taste, and that you probably have a spare $10,000 lying around. Or at least, that's what it looked like. Let's explore 3 iconic vintage luxury watches that have stood the test of time and still make us weak at the knees. 1. Patek Philippe Calatrava, 1950s. Story and ownership. First up, we have the Patek Philippe Calatrava. This watch is so refined, it could probably teach a masterclass in elegance. Released in the 1950s, the Calatrava set the gold standard for what a luxury watch should be. Simple, classic, and so stunning that even the minimalists among us can't resist its charm. Brad Pitt, the man who makes anything look cool, including a potato sack, has been spotted with a Calatrava. You know you've made it when you're rocking a watch that's been on the wrists of Hollywood royalty and the world's elite. If you ever get the chance to wear one, just remember, it's not just a watch, it's a piece of history that might make you feel like a movie star yourself. 2. Rolex Submariner, 1953. Story and ownership. Next on our list is the Rolex Submariner. This is the watch that says, I could go scuba diving, but first let me finish my martini. Launched in 1953, it was Rolex's answer to the needs of professional divers and those of us who just like the idea of underwater adventures. Steve McQueen, who was basically the human equivalent of cool, was a fan of the Submariner. And if it's good enough for McQueen, it's certainly good enough for the rest of us. It also made its cinematic debut as James Bond's watch in early 007 films, because nothing says, I'm about to defuse a bomb quite like a Rolex Submariner on your wrist. 3. Omega Speedmaster, 1957. Story and ownership. Finally, we have the Omega Speedmaster, famously known as the Moon Watch. This watch is like the kid in class who did something extraordinary and is still getting praised for it. The Speedmaster was the first watch worn on the moon, thanks to Buzz Aldrin's stellar choice of wristwear in 1969. If you think you're doing something impressive by tracking your steps, just remember that this watch has been to space. George Clooney, who manages to look good doing pretty much anything, is a fan of the Speedmaster. So if you're ever feeling out of this world, maybe it's time to get a piece of history strapped to your wrist. These vintage watches didn't just tell time, they told stories. Each one represents an era of craftsmanship, artistry, and, let's be honest, a little bit of look-at-me charm. But as much as we adore these classic beauties, the world of watches has evolved, and the future is here. Enter the modern smartwatch. Fast forward to the 21st century, and watches have become much more than just a way to tell time. They're now our personal assistants, fitness trackers, and for some, an excuse to flaunt the latest tech. Let's take a look at how modern smartwatches are redefining luxury and convenience. 1. Apple Watch, Hermes Edition, Story and Ownership. First up in the modern era is the Apple Watch, Hermes Edition. If the original Apple Watch was a tech-savvy tool for your wrist, the Hermes Edition is like having a personal stylist for your arm. Apple partnered with Hermes, the brand that's as synonymous with luxury as it is with eye-watering price tags. The Hermes Edition combines Apple's cutting-edge technology with Hermes's legendary leather craftsmanship. It's the smartwatch for the person who wants to flex not just their tech, but their taste. Even if your idea of a wild night is watching Netflix in bed, this watch will make you feel like you're living the high life. And it's not just about looking good, it's about having the ultimate in tech and style. Plus, you can pay for that fancy coffee without ever having to pull out your wallet. Talk about a power move. 2. Tag Heuer Connected. Story and ownership. Next, we have the Tag Heuer Connected. This is the smartwatch for those who want to mix a little Swiss precision with their tech-savvy lifestyle. Tag Heuer took their expertise in luxury watches and combined it with Google's Wear OS to create a watch that's as smart as it is stylish. Cristiano Ronaldo, the man who probably has a personal trainer for his wrist, is a fan. If you're the type who wants to track your workouts while looking like you're about to sign a major endorsement deal, this watch is for you. It's the perfect blend of high-tech and high-class, proving that you don't have to choose between looking good and staying connected. 3. Mont Blanc Summit. 3. Story and ownership. Last, but certainly not least, there's the Mont Blanc Summit. 3. Mont Blanc is known for their luxury pens, which means they're experts in combining elegance with functionality. The Summit 3 is their foray into the smartwatch world, blending their expertise in luxury with Google's tech for a watch that's both refined and connected. Hugh Jackman, who knows a thing or two about sophistication, is a fan. If you're looking to impress with a smartwatch that says, "I appreciate the finer things in life, but also need to check my emails," then the Summit 3 is your perfect match. It's like having a personal assistant on your wrist who also happens to be incredibly stylish. These smartwatches are not just about telling time. They're about making a statement, staying connected, and flexing a little tech muscle. But how do they stack up against the classics? Let's compare them directly. So, vintage luxury watches versus modern smartwatches. Who comes out on top? It's like comparing a classic Ferrari to a cutting-edge Tesla. Both have their charms, but what's the real difference? Vintage watches like the Patek Philippe Calatrava, Rolex Submariner, and Omega Speedmaster are all about tradition, craftsmanship, and timeless style. They represent an era when watches were crafted with a level of precision and artistry that's hard to match. These watches are not just timepieces. They're pieces of history that have been worn by some of the world's most influential people. On the other hand, smartwatches like the Apple Watch Hermes Edition, Tag Heuer Connected, and Mont Blanc Summit 3 are all about functionality, convenience, and modern luxury. They combine cutting-edge technology with the elegance of high-end brands to offer a new kind of luxury, one that's connected, interactive, and constantly evolving. It's like comparing a classic novel to the latest bestseller. One offers a deep, immersive experience with a sense of nostalgia, while the other provides immediate gratification and modern relevance. Whether you're drawn to the timeless elegance of a vintage watch or the high-tech sophistication of a smartwatch depends on what you value most: the history and artistry of traditional luxury, or the convenience and innovation of the modern world. So, which wrist will you adorn? Will you opt for the classic charm of a vintage luxury watch or embrace the futuristic allure of a modern smartwatch? Both have their merits, and honestly, why choose? You can always have one for each wrist, right? If you're into blending the old with the new, you might just be the kind of person who appreciates the value of both worlds. Whether you're showing off a Patek Philippe or checking your notifications on an Apple Watch, remember that a watch is more than just a tool. It's a reflection of who you are and what you value. So go ahead and make your choice. And remember, whether you're counting the seconds or the steps, do it with style. Thanks for joining us on this time-traveling adventure through the world of luxury watches. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the past and future of horology, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that's as timeless as a classic watch and as innovative as the latest tech. Until next time, keep ticking and keep shining.